1/3 of America's retired millionaires never earned six figures in a single year of their lives. In fact, most of them were making around $50,000. And yet, they managed to retire richer and sooner than someone making $500,000 a year. And the reason why comes down to a single number that most people have never thought about. Because we've been told our entire lives that earning more money is the answer. Get the raise, get the promotion, get the higher paying job. And that's not wrong. Earning more gives you options. But options don't build wealth. What you do with those options does. And the data on what high earners actually do with their money is alarming. 48% of Americans earning over $100,000 live paycheck to paycheck. 62% of those earning over $300,000 carry credit card debt. These aren't people who are bad with money. They're caught in a system designed to absorb every dollar they earn. And it starts with a piece of math that most of them have never seen. In 2012, a personal finance blogger named Pete Adeney published a post called "The Shockingly Simple Math Behind Early Retirement," and it made one claim that changed how millions of people think about money. Your savings rate, the percentage of your income that you keep, is the only variable that determines how many years until you can retire. Not your salary, not your investment returns, your savings rate. And the numbers behind it are striking. If you save 5% of your income, you need to work 66 years before you can stop. Save 10%, that drops to 51 years. Save 25%, 32 years. Save 50%, and you're done in 17. The reason it works this way is because savings rate does two things at once. It determines how fast your portfolio grows, and it determines how little you need to live on. Which means someone saving 50% needs a portfolio half the size of someone saving 10%, and they build it 3 times faster. And here's where income drops out of the equation entirely. A person earning $50,000 who saves 50% reaches financial independence in the exact same number of years as a person earning $500,000 who also saves 50%. The timeline is identical. But nobody earning $500,000 actually saves 50%. And that's where this story takes a turn. But before we get into how, do you actually know your savings rate? Not a rough guess, the real number. Most people don't, because nothing makes it easy to see. That's exactly why we built Wally. You upload a bank statement, it categorizes everything automatically and shows you your actual savings rate, month by month. No bank login required. It's free, and the link is in the description. So, where does a $500,000 salary actually go? Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows that high earners spend dramatically more in absolute terms, and their spending growth nearly matches their income growth. Picture a household earning $500,000 a year in a major metro area. 2 luxury car payments, $24,000 to $40,000 a year. A mortgage on $1 million home, $60,000 to $100,000. Private school for 2 kids, about $100,000 at top-tier institutions. Country club, dining, travel, entertainment, another $35,000 to $50,000. Add it up, and a realistic annual budget ranges from $200,000 to $320,000. After taxes take $150,000 to $175,000, the remaining take-home gets almost entirely absorbed. Many of these households save under 5%, which, according to the chart we just saw, means they'd need to work over 60 years to retire. And this isn't a small group of reckless spenders. Among those earning over $200,000, 36% live paycheck to paycheck. Their spending simply expanded to fill the space their income created. Which raises the real question. Why can't intelligent, successful people earning $500,000 just stop spending? The answer is buried in how the human brain actually works. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation, the tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness regardless of what happens to you. A landmark 1978 study found that lottery winners were not significantly happier than control groups and actually enjoyed everyday activities less. Every raise, every bonus, every upgrade feels exciting for a few months. Then it becomes the new normal. And once it's normal, the only way to feel that rush again is to upgrade further. And it's not just internal. Economist Erzo Lutmer found that when your neighbors earn more, your own happiness drops, even if your income stays the same. Bertrand and Morse showed that a 10% increase in spending by wealthy households drives a 4% increase in spending by everyone around them. So we don't spend based on what we need. We spend based on what the people around us are spending, which triggers what's called the Diderot effect, named after a philosopher who replaced every item in his study after receiving one expensive gift. A new luxury car demands a nicer garage. A nicer garage demands a bigger house. A bigger house demands new furniture. Each purchase cascades into the next, absorbing every dollar before it reaches savings. So the treadmill runs faster the more you earn. Now, let's go back to that savings rate chart and put real dollar amounts behind it, because this is where the paradox becomes impossible to ignore. A person earning $50,000 who saves 25%, $12,500 a year, builds a portfolio of $1.18 million over 30 years at a 7% return. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that generates $47,000 a year, which replaces 94% of their working income. They can stop working. Now take the $500,000 earner saving just 2%, $10,000 a year. They build $945,000. A 4% withdrawal gives them $37,000 a year, which replaces 7.6% of their lifestyle. That means they face a 92% income cliff the day they retire. And even tripling the high earners' savings rate to 6% only gets them to $113,000 a year in retirement, 23% of what they were spending. To maintain even 60% of their lifestyle, they'd need $7.5 million. Most aren't anywhere close. So the $50,000 earner built a life their savings could sustain, and the $500,000 earner built a life that collapses the moment the paychecks stop. Which brings us back to the question from the opening. If income doesn't determine wealth, then who actually becomes a millionaire? Chris Hogan's 2019 study of over 10,000 millionaires answered exactly that. 1/3 of them never earned six figures in a single working year. 79% built their wealth from scratch, and only 16% inherited more than $100,000. Their top occupations? Engineers, accountants, and teachers. And the number one factor in their wealth was consistent investing in employer-sponsored retirement plans. Thomas Stanley found the same pattern a generation earlier, when he surveyed thousands of millionaires for The Millionaire Next Door. 80% were first-generation rich. The typical millionaire drove a used car, wore a Seiko watch, and worked in businesses most people would call boring: welding, paving, pest control. Meanwhile, doctors and lawyers, the professionals we assume are wealthy, were twice as likely to be under-accumulators of wealth. And the Federal Reserve data ties it all together. Income explains only 33% of the variation in net worth across American households. The other two-thirds comes down to behavior, savings rate, spending discipline, and consistency. Wealth isn't built by the people who earn the most. It's built by the people who keep the most. A $50,000 income with a 25% savings rate builds real, lasting financial independence. A portfolio that replaces nearly all of your working income. A $500,000 income with a 2% savings rate builds a lifestyle that's one job loss away from unraveling. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. And if that reframe changes even one decision you make this month, even one, the compound effect of that single choice is worth more than any raise you'll ever receive. If this shifted how you think about your own savings rate, someone in your life probably needs to hear it too. And if you want to understand more about how money actually works, not how people say it works, this channel was built for exactly that.